first half of the year, we've been slightly less active than previously. Clearly, we got some positive headwinds with the interest rate cycle at the beginning of the year, and then the war started in Iran, yields moved out, nervousness returned. We, as a business, were working on 4 or 5 transactions, and because of the nervousness, that's taken a longer than expected time to come to fruition. But June and July will be exceptionally busy months for us, with turnover back up to the levels we expect to see. From a macro perspective, obviously, everyone's still in wait-and-see mode to see where things lie in the Middle East, but inflation doesn't seem to have taken off as quickly and as scarily as some people were predicting. And I think a bit of quiet optimism has started to come back, and I think that the property industry is becoming used to almost a permanent state of chaos where there's one issue after another that comes out from a macro perspective. Clearly, we've got huge political uncertainty in the UK at the moment, and that will continue for a while, no doubt. And how far to the left the country goes, we're just going to have to wait and see. And what the landscape looks like in 2029 is too far out to call. So I think the best thing that we can hope for is rates stay sub 4% through the rest of the cycle and start to come back down. Once that's established as a kind of peak of the rate cycle, there will be another rebasing, activity will pick up, things will get going again. But it has been a tricky few years since COVID in real estate, and I think, as I've said before, you've just got to pick your winners. People will make money, value will be created, but it's not as easy as it was. There's no doubt about that. Liquidity is abundant in some pockets and tight in others, which makes navigating these markets harder than it has been. Development ground up is very difficult, so people are looking to try and find buildings that are income producing. That's because clearly cost of money, the new Building Safety Act has made tall buildings in particular very, very hard. So people are looking at repurposing buildings. They're looking at opportunities which fall outside their Gateway 2 issues. So we're seeing a lot of opportunity in that space. Clearly, one of the hottest topics at the moment is powered land for data centres. So if there's going to be a data centre, it no longer trades on its value as pure land. It trades on the power that's available to that site. And I think AI is going to continue to grow. So real estate for the AI sector is going to be a big growth industry. It's already substantially increased over the last decade, and there will be winners and losers. I think that there's some nervousness around the private rented sector with the Rented Reform Act, and because of that, I think landlords are going to struggle. So I think getting really good institutional build-to-rent product is quite interesting. I think income producing residential is becoming very difficult and very scary. But within that difficult environment, there will be some really good opportunities for people who can get good assets and create institutional cash flows for them. The same for purpose-built student accommodation. There's some headwinds coming. It was the darling of the real estate industry for a couple of years, and now there's some negativity arising. But there's still in many towns, especially London, a massive mismatch between the amount of students and the amount of purpose-built student accommodation. So if you can provide student accommodation that is of the right quality at the right price, there's still very good demand and supply dynamics. London is interesting still from a kind of turnaround position on prime central London. Values in some of the most established suburbs have been really badly hit, and there's a lot of negativity. And I think people who are brave enough to dive in at these levels will do very well when the market bounces. Obviously, industrials, logistics are still going to be strong. Offices, you have to pick your winners. We've done quite a few office deals. Thankfully, they've all gone very well. Good buildings are commanding higher rents than ever. Bad buildings you don't want to be in. I think we're seeing the same in retail. So there's bifurcation in each subsector. The good stuff's getting better. The institutional capital wants it. The secondary and tertiary assets that don't have a good economic life, that don't meet the environmental requirements are really going to struggle, and repurposing them has become more and more costly. And I worry about what happens to those buildings and the impact that they have on the general market, with a kind of hangover effect of real estate that needs to get repurposed and repositioned, but the numbers don't add up. So there'll be winners and losers in every sector. Clearly, AI-driven sector, beds and sheds are still strong, and we're seeing a lot of money in medtech still. The life sciences boom kind of came and went, but is now gathering pace again in a different format, and a lot of companies want to be near major teaching and medical hubs in big cities. So I think that market got overcooked, hence values retrenched very aggressively and will build back up again. So beds, sheds, medtech, AI, that's where we'll see the opportunities, and top quality offices selectively. But I think we're still at the beginning of the AI story, and I don't profess to know as much as I probably should about it, but I think it's going to have a huge impact on the kind of buildings that people need and want to work in. So we'll have to watch that space. On a positive note, we're about to close 4 or 5 very interesting transactions across a wide range of sectors within the real estate market. We think that's going to continue for the second half of the year. We're rapidly approaching our 10-year anniversary, which is exciting times for everyone at A.S.K. It's been a really interesting and exciting ride. Markets will remain tough, but I think we'll continue to be able to pick out some really interesting opportunities by being flexible, adaptable, and understanding the market through a wealth of experience. So we're looking forward to better times. It's been a hard 6 months.